welcome to the BoshNRoll channel. If you want to support my daily Eternal Magic offerings while getting amazing perks like the BoshNRoll Discord community, have me play your deck on the channel, or listen sideboard guides before tournaments, check out the Patreon or YouTube membership program. This channel is possible because of these amazing sponsors. Check them out, all their links are in the video description. As always, thanks for being here. Let's go play some Magic.
Welcome back to the BoshNRoll channel. Today I'm playing Legacy, but I'm not doing a league, and I'm playing more than one deck, and I have a celebrity enemy to battle against. Legacy content creator Ecobaronen and I have decided to battle 3 different decks against each other, all of which will be a surprise to each other, and our rules were they can't be in the top 15 decks on MTG Goldfish. We could call this a tier 2 battle, an off-meta battle, a brew battle, whatever you want to call it, but we're showcasing the decks that are not all the boring ones you see every day. Both of our respective communities put up a ton of ideas, and to the folks in my community, thanks for showing up. I had to sift through like 30 or 40 deck lists to find 3 that I wanted to play today. And I think Ecobaronen and I are going to do this more often if it's successful. So if you submitted a deck and didn't get picked, don't worry, there will be other chances. Here we go. I'm going to real quickly talk about my 3 decks. I don't know what he's bringing. The first one, Patreon subscriber King of the Depths suggested a Jeskai Ocelot Pride build, and one of my other Patreon subscribers, Morsa, I know happens to have put a lot of work into this build. So this is Jeskai Energy, suggested by King of the Depths and built by Morsa. We got the double dip on my community members there. This deck is trying to get super low with Ocelot Pride. Between Ocelot Pride and Mockingbird, this deck has draws that feel like a combo kill. Like if you Ocelot Pride and then have another one, or a Mockingbird, or 2 Mockingbirds, or whatever, like if you have 3 Ocelot Prides at the end of turn 1 and gain 1 life, you're in the stratosphere already. Goblin Bombardment, pretty tough to beat. A Johnny, really good with Goblin Bombardment, and it cares about cats. Ocelot Pride, if you play Modern, you know this stuff. But unlike in Modern, we can back it up with Force of Will and Daze here, and Wasteland. Sweet deck, I'm excited I get to play it. The next one, suggested by Patreon subscriber Kickern, is Ninjas, a BoshNRoll classic, one of the decks that really helped launch this channel 5 years ago. I went on a hell of a run with Ninjas, and a lot of my viewership came in around that time. But the deck has fallen. It's in like the top 25 or 30 on Goldfish, though it does still technically exist. There's a lot of ways to build this deck now. It used to be a pretty solid core, and looking through the Ninja lists after Kickern suggested it, I honestly was impressed by the range of, sometimes it's like Dimir Tempo that just has 2 Yurikos in it, and sometimes it's a proper Ornithopter, Changeling Outcast, Retrofitter Foundry deck. Sometimes it plays Satoru, who triggers off Ornithopters in the late game, so they're not dead draws. I'm a little worried that this build in particular isn't using its Ornithopters very well, other than enabling some ninjutsu stuff. But I'm going to let it ride. I'm going to play the list that Kickern sent me. And finally, Sudden Substitution Hivemind is my 3rd deck. The combos here are Hivemind. Whenever a player casts an instant or sorcery, each other player copies that spell. And you want to cast something like Pact of the Titan or Summoner's Pact that it gets copied, and your opponent has to pay for it before you do. And hopefully they can't and they lose. The backdoor is Sudden Substitution. Split-second instant. Exchange control of target non-creature spell and target creature. Then the spell's controller can choose new targets for it. So your opponent plays a Dragon's Rage Channeler, and then you put Pact of the Titan on the stack, and then with Split Second, you exchange control of Dragon's Rage Channeler, or, you know, whatever they got. Orcish Bowmaster Tamiyo, I'll take it. You exchange control of it with Pact of the Titan. Now your opponent is responsible for this Pact of the Titan. They could counter it if they want, so they don't have to pay for it. If they can't counter it, they probably lose, because most decks don't have 4 and a red to pay. If they do counter it, you still have their creature, and then they're down the creature and the counterspell, so it's a pretty sweet exchange for you anyway. This is in a show and tell shell. You could shove Hivemind into play ahead of schedule. You could use Pact of Negation to protect your show and tell or your Hivemind on the way down, or it can be a pact that your opponent has to pay for, like you play a Lotus Petal, then counter it, and then your opponent has to pay for a Pact of Negation on their upkeep. Very cool deck. I am noticing that this build that I was sent is 62 cards, which is almost certainly incorrect, but at this point, I'm ready to game. Like I said, I don't know what Andreas is bringing. We have a deal that if one of the games is just a complete shit clowning, we'll play it again with open deck lists, or not open deck lists, but open archetype, just in case there's like a case where someone keeps a hand that makes for a non-game. We will give you an extra match, but if the matches are all good, we're off. We decided to not share archetypes up front for this when we usually do when we do these playoffs, because I think having the brewer's advantage of bringing an off-meta deck is part of bringing an off-meta deck. And if your opponent just already knows your sudden substitution hive mind, they can plan around that. But if they don't know that and they just play out a creature that's not going to kill you fast enough, and you sudden sub it, that's kind of the point. Okay, enough talking. Let's go play some Magic. I'm on the play in round 1, which is good news. We are alternating play draw. That means for 2 of the 3 matches, I will be on the play. I'm going to keep double Guide of Souls with Brainstorm to find a cat's pretty cool. Guide of Souls lets you cheat and trigger the cat immediately when you summon it. And we also get to do the exercise of trying to figure out what my opponent's doing. I spend a lot more time down in the dregs of the 5-0 trophy dumps and the tier 2, tier 3 stuff than Andreas does, so this will be interesting to see who could figure out the other's deck faster. Uh-oh. Dark Ritual. Mishra's Bauble. I did consider playing Beseech Storm. Like, I wanted a combo deck, and like bonus round Ruby Storm, Beseech Storm were in the mix. I did end up playing the Show and Tell Hive Mind deck, obviously. Ooh, I don't like that. Yeah, that's one of those moments where do you force the Dark Ritual or try to catch the whatever comes out of it? We will find out soon if I'm dead. If he's not killing me this turn, he'll take Brainstorm probably. Oh, wow. All right. Oh, is this some sort of just like Stalactite Stalker Stompy deck? That would make sense with the cards we've seen. Interesting that he took Guide of Souls when Swords to Plowshares kills Nethergoyf. Obviously has a plan for that somehow. The triple bauble opens really funny though. Nobody knows what my opening hand does, not even me. Okay, I'm gonna Brainstorm because I really want Ocelot Pride. Ooh, a Johnny. Johnny's pretty good. I think I'm gonna put back Scalding Tarn and Force of Will, or Bloodstrand Force of Will. I'm gonna put back Scalding Tarn Force of Will because if my opponent believes for any reason that I kept that Scalding Tarn, like that's a false breadcrumb I can plant. And I'm just fetching Tundras here. This looks like it's probably a Wasteland deck, and blue-white is the core of the archetype. Heck yeah, bring it back down to 20. The fetch Thoughtseize get a 4-drop plow or 4-power creature plowed pipeline. I was not able to hide a Johnny from discard this turn because I had to fetch. All right, this has got to be Orcish Bowmaster. Very little else makes any sense. I don't know if that Wasteland's going to find a target this game. I guess it could be removal, like if there's just Fatal Push over there or something. Maybe Dark Ritual Oppo Agent, but Orcish Bowmaster is the most obvious reason to have 2 swamps up on my turn. All right, I gain a life and an energy. Fatal Pushing a Johnny. Is Force of Will going to get better? I think a Johnny's probably really good. If he's got 2 Fatal Pushes, that's bad for me. If not, I'm happy with that exchange. And now Orcish Bowmaster can't come into play, so I'm going to attack for 1. All right, cool. I'm Hellbent versus 4 cards. I'm on board, my opponent's not. Yeah, Baragorf sucks. All right, Ocelot Pride to flip it. Oh, a Johnny flips it too. Okay, well, let's do stuff. The Johnny. This will make Guide of Souls a legend. Okay, I'm going to keep this one, though it doesn't matter. I flip a Johnny, gain a life, get a cat. Buffing my cats doesn't seem important, so I'm going to get another cat, and then I'm going to attack for 3 in the air. Yes, I'd like to use this ability. A Baragorf is really good at keeping my opponent alive. Gain 5 every turn while I jump block every turn is not sustainable for somebody. I don't know, where nothing's really happening on this board right now. Required to block. Can't let this happen. The opponent is attacking me and not a Johnny, looking for that Baragorf trigger. Ooh, sack a Planeswalker. All right, now I'm way behind. Oslet Pride, come on, baby. The reason for the season, the name of the deck, the point we're here. I mean, Source of Plowshare is also really good here. Something that matches up with Barrogoyf. Okay, I am going to attack with all my creatures, because if he wants to jump a Bowmaster out and trade with all my Cat Warriors, then he's hellbent. This attack should be pretty obvious that I drew Plow. I am pretty happy with a battle between my 3/4 flying Guide of Souls and his Orcish Bowmaster. All right, we flush that out, deal with Barrogoyf, and now I'm ahead of the damage race and we're in a full top deck war. Oslet Pride's still the best card I can draw. Oh no, Bloodchief Thirst. Well, somehow Oslet Pride is still the best card I could draw. That card is good if I could cast it someday. No, stop ripping! Alright. I've lost the top deck war. I briefly was ahead, and now I'm behind. Voice of Victory is a lot of objects. I'm going to get clapped by this Barrogoyf a few times, though. Missed. Alright, that was just a mill 5. Maybe we'll deck him. Force of Will, Stone Brick at this point. I'm not blocking, so I'm going to attack. I'm going to mobilize 2. This will get in for 3 damage, which my opponent does not care about. Yeah, the magic card Barrogoyf is just really good against people trying to have creatures. Oh, he just milled over another Barrogoyf. Alright, this game's unwinnable. Okay, we had a moment where I put myself ahead and there was a top deck war, and opponent simply runner the best 2 cards imaginable. Okay. Harsh Mentor triggers off of fetch lands and Mishra's Bauble. I think I basically have no sideboard for this. Grafdigger's Cage could stop Nethergoyfs from coming back, but I think going wide is my job here. I would actually love to board out my Force of Wills, but I think there's just nothing to bring in. Okay. Well, here we go. Same deck. If Goblin Bombardment came down earlier, it would have actually neutralized the Barrogoyf. Also, of course, a Johnny dealing damage matters. Goblin Bombardment's going to be really important in this matchup. That's how my dopey creature deck outmaneuvers the Wall of Removal deck. But we can't see the vision. Basically, at any point in that game, up until I had no permanents left, if I drew an Ocelot Pride, I would have made a gajillion tokens in the end step, and then all those point-and-click removal spells don't matter anymore. Alright, I like this hand. No 1-drop, but multiple Ajani's. Access to my other colors and stuff. Thoughtseize. I'm going to Brainstorm in response to this. Tundra, Brainstorm. Oh, that's cool. I basically get to decide what he takes there, because if I put back some combination of Ponder, Plow, and Bombardment, then my hand is 3 Ajani's and whatever I leave behind, which means he's going to take the one that I don't have 3 of. I think I am most okay with my opponent taking my Ponder here. Unless he boarded in Surgical Extraction for some reason, which would be really tilting. Oh, took one of the Ajani's. He wants to work through it fair and square. That's interesting. Okay. Bombardment first or Ajani first? I think I'm going to play Bombardment first. I'm actually more interested in resolving Bombardment. Even if my opponent has Thoughtseize to take the other 2 Ajani's right now, I am more interested in having Bombardment in play. Bloodstained Mire. I have Source of Plowshares on top of my deck. Dothy Voidwalker. That means that other creatures don't die, which is an important thing for Ajani. But luckily, I have it covered. Do I want to get a Plateau to just round out my colors? No, there's 2 red cards in my deck and one of them already resolved. I'm just going to keep getting Tundras. And I think I am just going to go for it here. Start doing my thing. Make a cat, deal 1 to my opponent. Alright, I have this soft lock established. How far can I make it go? Dump to Snuff out. Nethergoyf. Nethergoyf. Alright, opponent's got some big creatures, but so do I. I'm going to Ponder now. Voice of Victory is interesting. And Brainstorm under it. I don't mind that. Voice of Victory is a lot of damage with Ajani. And with Goblin Bombardment. Okay, I think what I'm going to do here is put Voice of Victory in my hand with Brainstorm on top of my deck. Play the other Ajani. Flipping is optional. Do I want my squad bigger? No, I just want to kill a Nethergoyf. 4 damage to Nethergoyf. Yeah, now my opponent's in the machine gun. Yep, no way out of this one. Okay, sweet. On the draw, Daze and Force of Will. I'm just thinking about this Harsh Mentor as literally Grizzly Bear that might deal 2 to my opponent once. Is that much better than a Daze or a Force of Will in this matchup where we're likely to both end up Hellbent? Probably not still. At least Force of Will, I guess my opponent doesn't really have selection. It just sort of, he has to cast the cards that he has. And if I have Force to push my stuff through, it works. Maybe I have to treat this like I'm the aggro or combo deck and they're the control deck, which is a weird way to think about Mono Black Stompy, but I think that is the posture here. Okay, there we go. We also saw there is a target for Wasteland in the deck. There's at least 1 Undercity Sewers. Oh, baby. The double Pride. I'm going to keep. Stalactite Stalker, first appearance. Welcome to the game. And it will be growing. My opponent's deck has both good removal and good discard. I could make my own Stalactite Stalker and it would be a 2/2 with flying. I'd rather have 3 Ocelot Prides, but I'd also rather not get Plague Winded by Orcish Bowmaster. Him being on the play here is huge. All right, I'm going to make a Stalactite Stalker. Boink. Menace Flying. The rarely seen Menace plus Flying. Oh, Wasteland has appeared. Wasteland appeared in the game. Confirmed it exists. Another Stalker. I think creatures with Menace should be able to block with each other. What are they scared of? Okay. Daze is actually pretty nice. I will fetch basic planes here, I guess. No, I can't do that shit. If I get dazed, I've blown it. Oh, that was a huge mistake, actually. Ugh. All right. Suddenly deciding to play around Wasteland on the turn where it doesn't make any sense to do that. Daze your Bowmaster. JK. God damn it, Brian. All right. I probably just punted this game and this whole match. If that Ocelot Pride's in play, I can never lose. Okay. Let's figure this out. I wish there just wasn't a basic land in this deck so I couldn't be distracted by it. Okay, Volcanic Island. Goblin Bombardment. We can still stabilize here. Can't block. Gonna attack. I've got a 4/4. Saved my days for the Barrowgoyf, a thing that I did completely on purpose. Scoreboard. Right, I go to 5 here. The Stalkers do grow because Barrowgoyf went to the graveyard. I've got a Johnny. How do I kill stuff here? We've got... If I sack the cat, that deals 1, 2, 3. I can kill the 3-power one, not the 4. Which is a shame because I'm dead to Bowmaster if that happens. But I could also just stop. No, because of Menace, I can't just stop. Alright, I'm going to kill the one that I can kill. Oh wait, I'll have 2 creatures. It's fine. Alright, kill the one I can kill. And then leave blockers back for the other one. I don't want to go to 1 against their deck with Orcish Bowmaster. Attacking me. I'm going to double block. A Fatal Push could sweep my board here, but I just have to be okay with that. Okay, that didn't happen. I'm at 5, a healthy 5. Nethergoyf I can block forever. 1 card left in my opponent's hand. Did we turn the corner despite my fumbling the bag early? I think I'm just gonna brainstorm here because I can beat Orcish Bowmaster with Goblin Bombardment. Cool. It didn't Bowmaster me. Doesn't mean it's not there. Opposition Agent. Do I have to think about that? If I make my cat first, then I do less damage, but I don't lose to Opposition Agent. Alright, I'm going to make my cat first. Just deal 2 to my opponent. And then fetch. Okay. Might be a silly thing to play around, but also might be the difference between winning and losing. Alright, I have a shitzillion cats again. I can burn my opponent out completely next turn if I make a cat. Alright, so I'm going to block and ping my opponent down to 12. I'm going to decline Johnny's trigger. So this Johnny can deal 4. Then I flip then I copy a Johnny, get 2 more, deal 6, and then I can fling the rest of the things. Yeah, okay. Goblin Bombardment, fumbling the bag on Daze. Ended up dazing a potentially better spell the next turn through no fault of my own. All right, we're up a match. Ninja's coming next. The BoshNRoll channel is brought to you by Tales of Adventure. TOAMagic.com has almost 100,000 unique cards in stock. They offer free track shipping on every order, plus next day or 2-day options when you have an event coming up fast. They offer on-site pickup at major Magic events throughout the US, so you're never scrambling before your tournament. Stop by their booth to buy, sell, or trade at upcoming regional championships, Magic Con, Spotlight Series, and more. I love their selection of individually scanned high-end cards that show you exactly what you're buying. And the best part is saving 5% on every order with promo code BOSH. From Ancestral Recall to Zombie Master, get what you need quickly and in one place at TOAMagic.com. Eternal lives here. I'm on the draw for round 2 with my Ninja deck. Currently no lands in my hand. Oh no, I have Sink into Stupor. Yeah, actually, that's enough to keep on. It makes days worse, but Tamiyo Brainstorm is a combo. I actually added the Sink into Stupor. Kickern sent me a 61 card list that had 17 lands and no MDFCs. I cut a Force of Negation and then turned something into Sink into Stupor just to get it looking a little cleaner. Soporific Springs, Take the Beats, Tamiyo. It's almost funny looking at my hand right now. It's just like, this is Dimir Tempo. I thought we were playing off meta decks. It is Dimir Tempo, but it's different. I really hope my opponent's not a Wasteland deck here. I am not ready. Meticulous Archive. Is this... Oh, Archive Days. Not usually seen together in decks, but okay. Dreadnought, Stompy, and Omnishow are both in the top 15 decks on Goldfish. So I get that little like metagame information based on the structure of what we've agreed to do here, even though I would probably think this was Blue-White Omnishow otherwise. All right, Brainstorm, you got to save me here. Hell yeah. All right. Magic's easy. Okay. There's a Stifle here. That could be really good. It's probably Brazen Borrower and Orcish Bowmaster that go to the top. Borrower, Bowmaster. That lets me keep Force Blue card, lets me set up a Ninja, lets me represent Stifle. That one Brainstorm went from my hand barely functions to I'm doing everything. Please crack a fetch land. Please crack a fetch land. Not a fetch land. Is this just Bant Beans? What are we doing here? That actually messes up Ninjas so badly. It's funny. Okay, a Bowmaster on top of my deck. I will take it. And I am going to pass. Now my opponent has the interesting decision to make of, are we going to attack with this Tamiyo? Are we going to flip this Tamiyo? Because Tamiyo is not, her plus on the back is not a static ability. It's a trigger. It's not like until your next turn, creatures that are attacking you get -1/-0. It's whenever a creature attacks you, it gets -1/-0. Which means if I attack with Ornithopter, that's the moment where Tamiyo triggers. And then I flip out the Ninja and it's full power. So he saw me not shuffle away my Brainstorm and then also miss my land drop, which means he could choose to read it as I'm showing Bowmaster. That's a reason to leave up 2 mana. He could choose to read it as my plan was to ninjutsu and it didn't work out because of his blocker. But that doesn't make any sense because then I would have fetched. I did attack, did bank a clue. Ka-chow. All right. With Force of Will and Daze, we are about to have a fight over this. Orcish Bowmaster is on the stack. I'm going to deal 1 to my opponent. There's the Plow. I'm going to force pitching Stifle. I think Stifle is the worst card in my hand at this point. He's just hit 3 natural land drops. And now I have to remember how this works. Okay, Brainstorm resolves. Because it's his turn, I can kill Tamiyo before she flips. If it was my turn, it would go the other way. Active player, non-active player. Tamiyo and Bowmaster trigger off of the same event. Oh, wow. Okay, yeah, so I'll finish that thought. The event of my opponent drawing 3 cards off Brainstorm triggers both Tamiyo and Bowmaster. The active player's triggers go on the stack first, which means Tamiyo's flip goes under the 3 Bowmaster triggers, and Bowmaster can kill her. If it was my turn, and he cast Brainstorm to flip his Tamiyo, I would put 3, have to go face, because I would put 3 targets on this, but it would flip into a Planeswalker before it happens. Cool. Okay, it looks like some sort of Bant control deck, which I respect. Big fan of. Back to Basics looks really good here. And that might be it. We didn't get a ton of information. I pitched a Stifle to force, so he knows that I have Stifle, which is like almost as good as having Stifle in my hand, so I am going to shave one. And I'll probably shave a Murderous Cut. It's a good hit for Yuriko, but this build of ninjas is pretty light on Yurikos. There's only 2 of them, and it's the worst removal spell in my deck versus a deck that doesn't seem to have a lot of target for removal, as far as I can tell. I'm going to leave Force of Negation in. That just helps versus stuff like, I don't know, Teferi, Up the Beanstalk. I don't know what's in these decks. By the way, that last game was made possible by that one sink into super I added to the list, and now I have to mulligan because I actually have no lands. Alright. Trust in Brainstorm. I'm going to bottom... It's probably back to basics. Oh. Is this some sort of Nadu deck? Suddenly, this became disgusting. Otawara, Ornithopter. Okay, I'm scared. Not gonna lie. Yikes! Alright, well, there's Nadu. Things changed quickly. I am going to Brainstorm on my turn, because I'm trying to hit a fetch land here specifically, so I can Fatal Push. Damn. Alright, well, this game's over. I'm going to put back Bowmaster and Island, and I'll play Island plus Ornithopter, and prepare to die. Maybe we can learn more about the deck. And by the way, Murderous Cut's coming back in. I did not get Nadu vibes last game. I wonder if this is Plague on Nadu, which was also a deck that was suggested, but I recently played it on the channel, so I passed on it for that reason. Okay, Brainstorm. Nadu's currently just a 3-4, but we know how quick that can change. My opponent also doesn't know if I have a counterspell or not because it hasn't been tested yet, because the Nadu is uncounterable. Stoneforge Mystic. Yeah, this tutors Shuko. This is definitely the Plagon deck. Alright, daze this shit. It's not a legend. Yeah, alright. I am gonna Velocity Brainstorm here. Moon Circuit Hacker. That might find a home. I don't know. Alright, I'll have to sacrifice an Ornithopter, but it's gotta be worth it. I'm still way behind here. Nadu should not attack here because of the ninjutsu threat. Though normally ninjas are black and blue. I just happen to have the one mono blue one in my hand right now. I don't even know how popular Moon Circuit Hacker is in lists, period. But I'm going to hack your Moon Circuit. I've drawn through my ugly brainstorms. I'm prepared to lose to basically anything here, but we are making a fight out of this game. Brainstorm, fetch, 3 cards still in hand. Ponder. Shuffle that Ponder. Exciting. Alright, Nadu's still crashing in there. Okay, I'm going to attack with Moon Circuit Hacker. It might just get eaten by an Endurance or a Batterskull or something, or it might trade with Delighted Halfling or Stoneforge Mystic. I'll take that. I'll take it. I have another ninja now. If I find a black source, I mean, this ninja is probably the least of my priorities if I find a black source. But big, tasty color screw game. We love Magic the Gathering. Yeah, this mana base is pretty solid. I think you should probably have 1 Undercity Sewer and 2 Underground Sea, rather than the alternative. I don't know if that's a budget decision from Kickern or a strategic decision figuring if Yuriko's rolling, you'd rather have Sewer to set up the damage. There's Plagon. Orcish Bowmaster JK, I don't have it. Alright, this game's unwinnable. Now I know what's going on, though. Murderous Cut, I'm interested in. Stifle's better on the play. Engineered Explosives, I only have 2 colors in my deck, so this can't hit Nadu or Plagon. It can hit Shuko and Delighted Halfling, Stoneforge Mystic, all that stuff. There's like 1 Shuko in this deck, and it mostly relies on Plagon to trigger Nadu. So, like, that's not very good. I am a believer in Back to Basics. Force of Negation I actually think is bad. Their deck is all creatures. And maybe I put 1 Back to Basics in there. Like, Plan A is disrupt their creatures and get ninjutsu going. Plan B is lock them out. I guess it's Stifle versus Back to Basics again. On the play, Stifle has a lot of text, but my opponent's good enough to play around it. Okay, I will stick to the Back to Basics. I'll just get Murderous Cut back in over Force of Negation. Engineered Explosives kills as much of my stuff as it does theirs. Yeah, that's not the plan. Let's go. Let's go. Okay, my hand has the mana. It has Ornithopter. I'm going to keep. I think my plan here is cast Ponder off of Otawara and then see where we stand. Probably just play Ornithopter and pass. Ponder. Okay, I like hitting mana. I like having blue cards. Do I think Kaito Bane of Nightmares or Moon Circuit Hacker is better going long? If I have to Force of Will something. Alright, I'm going to put Kaito in my hand because I can Moon Circuit Hack next turn. So if I have to force right now, I'd rather lose Kaito. Which is weird because Kaito is a more powerful card than Moon Circuit Hacker, but here we are enjoying Richard Garfield's brilliant mana system, where things that cost 3 are more powerful than things that cost 1, and at different points in the game you care about them differently. Can I kill this? I don't think so. I think it is a use it or lose it Force of Will situation, which is why I stacked it the way I did. There is an island on top of my deck. Do I want that? Too late now. I would like to draw a card, thank you. 3 mana, I'm set up over there. I can Murderous Cut something next turn. I hope that Delighted Halfling was important. Tameo resolves. Alright, the aggro flip before Bowmaster can get you, fair enough. Moon Circuit Hacker does still have power, can still loot. If I find a ninja here, it's a big deal. Undercity Sewer coming in. Daze. Daze is kind of good here. Alright, I will leave that on top. And I don't want my opponent knowing whether I have ninjas or not. So I am going to attack with both creatures, even though I don't have a ninja. I get to loot here. I'll discard the island. And here in the end of combat, I could still put a ninja in if I had one, but I don't. Cue the Timmy Turner's dad meme. This is where I'd put my ninja if I had one. Alright, quick fetch. Nadu is on the stack. I'm going to float a black and daze it. This is why we kept daze. Sweet. Plus Tameo. I mean, I'm playing Bowmaster. I've got this mana. I'll use it. Put 1 on Tameo. Try to slow down that ultimate a little bit. And after just criticizing double Undercity Sewer, it's now really good. Sink into Stupor. That is not what I want. It could bounce the Tameo, but really slowly. Do I want a Sewer here? I don't think so. I think I want to attack with Moon Circuit Hacker and see where things land. Yes, use the ability. I'll discard... I think it might be Polluted Delta. No, it's Swamp. I have Fatal Push in my deck. My back to basics looking pretty bad here. A Genius Infiltrator. Alright. We found a genius. I hope it infiltrates next turn. I can cut a Nadu, a Stoneforge, anything of that nature. The second Nadu. They always have 2. That's the rules of playing against Nadu. Tameo goes to 7. End of turn, Murderous Cut Nadu. I am going to play around Daze, even though I don't think they have it. Flipped Flooded Strand. Hate that for me. 2 Nadu's dead. Right, I'm going to attack Tameo with my creature with power, and my opponent with my other creatures. After blocks, I'm going to Ingenious Infiltrator, picking up Orcish Bowmaster, so I can fling that one around again. Back to Basics has arrived. I'm not really set up to use it, but if I jam it on this board, it'll still be pretty good. Tameo's at 7. Oh, if I had played my land first, I could have attacked with Orc Army and gotten a damage through. Alright, that was a mistake. Messy, messy, messy. The third Nadu. I'm quitting Magic. I hate this shit. Fuck you. Alright, Tameo's at 8. I'm gonna fetch a basic island. Or I have more islands than I have swamps, but island is more important than swamp. Yeah, I'll get basic island. And play Bowmaster. A fetch in response. Brainstorm. Yep, I could have punished that too if I had done everything in combat last turn like I'm supposed to. Bowmaster deals 1 to Tameo. This is what the whole game's about right now. Brainstorm. Yeah, that seems like what I have to do. My own Tameo, a Ponder, basic Swamp. That could be worse. I can put 2 damage on Tameo this turn, lose my Ingenious Infiltrator to combat. Do I think Back to Basics? How long do I think Back to Basics is going to hold versus a Tameo emblem? Basically, it's not going to. Alright. Yeah, the third Nadu fucking this game up for me. I'm going to put back Swamp and Back to Basics, and then cast Ponder, shuffle. Okay. You're saying there's a chance. All right, I'm going to attack Tamiyo, Tamiyo. I just need to put 1 damage on it. Do I want... I have not fetched this turn, right? Yeah, that was last turn. No permanents have left the battlefield for me. I think I need this Ingenious Infiltrator in play to... Oh, wait. Ultimating Tamiyo with a Bowmaster in play doesn't really work. Maybe I did want the Back to Basics. Shit. All right. I'll figure this out. I really want Ingenious Infiltrator in play. They might just not block, though, if it doesn't attack. Okay. Ingenious Infiltrator is going to have to go. Yeah, there is that block. Tamiyo's down to 5. Fatal Push Nadu. Prismatic Ending revealed. Tamiyo deployed. I'm all in, team. Yeah, I think I was supposed to jam Back to Basics. I forgot about the interaction between Bowmaster Tamiyo. I'm in the weeds here. These rarely played cards in these tier 3 decks, Orcish Bowmaster and Tamiyo. That interaction has never come up before. Basic Plains, probably gonna remove Bowmaster. Yep. Right, the Back to Basics wouldn't have worked anyway. Scoreboard. Haters. I can flip Tamiyo next turn. I draw for turn, Moon Circuit Hacker flips, and a clue is created. There's 1 Nadu left in the deck. All the Playgons, all the Stone Forges are still in there, though. Re-Tamiyo. Blocking's really good. Now Moon Circuit Hacker. Oh, JK. It's still going to trigger. I got you. Okay. Attack Tamiyo. Attack Tamiyo. Attack my opponent. Attack my opponent. This will put exactly 1 damage on Tamiyo. Blocking the Orc army. This doesn't trigger, right? It does not. All right. Moon Circuit Hacker is going to pick up this Ornithopter. And this is not a loot. It's a draw because it came into play this turn. I don't have to crack my clue first. Whoa. That's big. I'll save it for next turn. I'm going to flip Tamiyo now. Plus Ornithopter's back. This Bowmaster so close. Kaito's a big deal. Even just casting it pre-combat and buffing my ninjas cancels out Tamiyo. And my Tamiyo can buy a spell. Like, if my opponent has to minus Tamiyo to get Prismatic Ending to remove my Tamiyo, I count that as a win, because I'm winning on every axis other than his Tamiyo's close to ultimating. And if I'm able to buy back a Murderous Cut or a Force of Will or Sink into Stupor next turn, that's a big deal. And unlike a Johnny in the last match, Tamiyo is not optional. When you draw 3, she flips, like it or not. Which means if my opponent draws another card this turn, either this Tamiyo dies, or like you could set up minus this one, Prismatic Ending something, flip this one plus this one, and get like a second one plussing, but I don't even know if that's good. Didn't shuffle Ponder. Plus Tamiyo. Still dedicated to the grind, putting those shields up. All right, come on, good card. Yuriko is not a bad card. I could buy back Force of Will here and protect Kaito. I could grab Sink into Stupor and just hope that bouncing Tamiyo is good enough. Magic Online has not been asking me what my ninjas attack. I think this might be a bug. Like, ninjutsu reads, enters the battlefield from your hand tapped and attacking. It doesn't say defending player, and all of my ninjas have just gone straight to the face when I've done them without a choice being made. So I actually think I'm losing some equity in this Planeswalker battle right now. Okay, options are buy back Force of Will, save Kaito as my pitch, ninjutsu Yuriko, cast Bowmaster. That's pretty sweet. I could also buy back Force of Will, use Yuriko as my pitch to let Kaito dominate this game. I don't think that's going to happen, though. All right, I'm going to buy back Force of Will. I have plans to use all my mana, and Orcish Bowmaster is like my overall trump versus Tamiyo. Okay, I'm attacking Tamiyo. Attack Tamiyo, attack Tamiyo, attack Tamiyo, and attack my opponent. My opponent has also seen Stifle in my deck, but I wouldn't be so dead set on fighting Tamiyo if I had access to that. And I will remember that Orc Army can grow mid-combat here. Blocking a Hacker. Okay, Yuriko. Pick up the Ornithopter. We'll see if there's a fight to be had here. And then Bowmaster target Tamiyo. Just a battle of loyalty here. I could have rolled the dice and gone face and just hope that 9 damage rolls off the top. That seems reckless, though. Yuriko, clutch enters with 1 power. That's the interaction we described earlier. Plowing Bowmaster. This is why we fought over Force of Will. Or why we bought back Force of Will. Wasn't really a fight. Okay, Flusterstorm. Bowmaster dies. Tamiyo takes enough damage that she's not going to ultimate this turn. I get 1 Yuriko trigger. That dealt 0 damage. Looted Delta, Ornithopter. And past the turn, shields are down, but opponent has made it clear from his play that he doesn't have a big pivot here. Stoneforge, all right. This could get Assimilation Aegis, that's usually in lists. Pre-war Formware, okay, here comes Nadu. That's pretty good, it's big. It's currently not being targeted by anything, but it is a huge blocker. All right, deck. Fatal Push for all the marbles. Ornithopter, yeah, that's basically Fatal Push, right? And I'm suddenly dead. Can't get through a 5/6 at all. I can buy back. I think I actually should play this Ornithopter. I gotta protect Tamiyo. She's the only thing I've got going on. I put enough damage on my opponent's Tamiyo that I'm not dead to it this turn. Next turn, I can buy back Murderous Cut or Fatal Push. Challenge the Nadu. Oh god, don't play Plagon. Okay, well, this does kill his Tamiyo. And he didn't use the other one first, so this one is just going to die. And you wouldn't replace the 1 on 8 with the 1 on 4 anyway, but that's gone. But draw 4 is pretty powerful here. And this is 2 Nadu triggers at least, because Plagon can target for a white or a blue. Ponder, okay. That's like targeting Nadu, except you get some choices. I don't believe this deck plays Nomad. At least not the builds I've normally seen. Shuko is the spam button. Bought back Prismatic Ending. Gonna exile my Tamiyo so I can't Fatal Push. Yep. Gonna have to draw a Fatal Push naturally. Fetch down to 7. Another Tamiyo. They come in flocks. Nadu has Vig. I don't have enough flyers to kill 6 toughness. I could block it twice, but it would deal 0 damage total. Big draws? Yo! Alright. Opponent did just draw 1,000,000. But this was one of the cards I could draw. Moment of truth. No force, no force, no force, no force. Wrath of the Skies revealed. Oh my god. Well, I might be dead anyway. Okay, attack with everything. There is no Tamiyo bubble right now. He can block all of my ninjas. But there is damage coming through. But with Wrath of the Skies in hand, he knows he just has to survive the turn, so there's really not even anything interesting happening right now. Yeah, Plagon too big. That big, fat, starfish ass in my way. I am not going to be able to win a game where Wrath of the Skies is cast. Opponent's at 4, though. And if he wants to kill all my stuff, he has to kill all his stuff, too. All right, I'll take my chances here. I'll keep playing. Like, going for 0 kills just my stuff. Going for 2 kills his Tamiyo, but also my Moon Circuit Hacker. Going for 3 kills all his stuff, but he still has Tamiyo, the Planeswalker side. I think going for 3 and having Planeswalker Tamiyo still active is a pretty big deal here. Maybe I was supposed to attack Planeswalker Tamiyo with the Orc army, just put him in the position of, if you don't want your Tamiyo to die, then one of my ninjas gets through. That was a much better attack. All right, I blew it. I panicked when I saw the Wrath of the Skies and figured I'm dead if I don't make something happen here, but that was the thing that I could have made happen. Like, he doesn't even have to Wrath for 3 as long as Tamiyo's in play, because Yuriko doesn't matter. Plagon also beats Yuriko in combat, because he's functionally a 3/3 if you leave a mana up. And of course, you can just equip equipments to it. That means opponent is not Wrathing for 3. Wrath for 0 still takes out 3 of my permanents, including my biggest one. Wrath for 0 takes out that clue. Wrath for 2 kills his creature Tamiyo and his clue. Alright, it looks like 2 is the number. Or at least that's how much energy is being made. We'll see how much is actually paid. Alright, we've got a battle. Scalding Tarn's not what I wanted. I think I have to just play this out, even though I'm miles behind, because a single Yuriko trigger could end the game. I don't know how I'm getting through a 5/5 Vigilance, though. Yeah, opponent at 7 with without Tamiyo versus opponent at 4 with Tamiyo. That Orc Army attack should have gone to Tamiyo. Yep, that was the mistake. Even after this huge back and forth battle with quad Nadus that I've had to wade through, Plague drawing 4, even through all of that, this Tamiyo's been in play, I think, literally since turn 1. Like, this was his first play of the game, right? Or maybe turn 2 it happened. I don't know. It's a lot of mana in the pool. Cauldron complete. All right. This is 10 damage. I am not going to go out like a sucker and die to onboard tricks, even though I've definitely lost this game. Oh, he didn't fight with his butt. Left up the white rather than killing Yuriko. I guess really just does not care about Yuriko is the truth of the matter. Orcish Bowmaster. Does that do anything? No, certainly not. Not anymore. There was a time. I basically need to find Brainstorm into Fatal Push plus Moon Circuit Hacker. Yeah, this is not great. All right, Stifle. All right, good match, good battle. On to the final one where I get to be a show and tell deck.
This video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, the easiest way to build Magic decks online. Moxfield supports over 30 formats, including Legacy and everything else you'll see on this channel. There's multiple customizations so you can interact with your deck how you want. Views such as text, grid, or stacks. And groupings like type, subtype, color, color identity, even artist. The site offers light mode, dark mode, and so much more. However you want to see your deck, Moxfield can provide it for you. Follow my Moxfield to keep up with the channel and what I'm playing in paper. I'll see you there.
I'm on the play for our final round. I know this deck has 62 cards in it, and only 17 lands. Oh god. I should have reviewed this more. Okay, there's an Elvish Spirit Guide, 3 Lotus Petals, 5 basic islands. It makes me pretty resistant to some stuff. I am going to keep this. I wonder if Andreas kept his craziest deck for last too, and if that is the case, having Double Force plus Consign available, just in case whatever comes my way comes my way. Come on, bro. We're in the battle of the basement where every deck has Tamiyo. Brainstorm. Oh, fuck off. All right, well, I've probably lost. Man. I know 2 cards out of 60 doesn't make for a big difference, but I feel right now like it does. My casual brain is just firing on what the hell's going on here, cylinders. Can I even like beat a Tamiyo ever when I'm Brainstorm locked? There's no shuffle. There's not even another Brainstorm. I guess Into the Floodmaw could bounce various things. All right, I'll put back Sudden Sub and Show and Tell and pass. For content, I won't concede. Ponder. All right, Tamiyo flips. I can bounce Planeswalker Tamiyo just kind of whenever. And gifting them a fish is not irrelevant because of Sudden Sub. This better be High Tide or something interesting. If this is just like mono blue Delver with Tamiyo, I'm going to be on tilt. Okay, I will reveal that my deck contains Lotus Petal. I'm grousing right now, but the truth is that if you're going to play off-meta decks, you should still put the good cards in them. Like if this is High Tide or some mess, putting Tamiyo in it's very smart. Ooh, is this the Be Excellent basic lands Dimir mid-range deck? Okay, here I have to cast a spell or go to discard. I think I'm just going to discard Consign to Memory. Bouncing Tamiyo now doesn't matter. Orcish Bowmaster, okay, I don't have to discard, I'll just Force of Will this thing. I think this deck's actually good, if it is the deck that I think it is. Not like, I mean, it's not a top 15 on Goldfish, it does meet the parameters, but I think this is a real deck that people could play without being embarrassed. And it's a deck that if I draw a land or 2, we could get through. Wasteland, played around it. Hive Mind, okay. I'm now a mana and a pact away from winning. Somehow, we've made it this far. This card will be a problem at some point. I'm gonna pitch a Show and Tell to force it. The problem is, Brainstorm and Ponder are among my best draws right now, even if I don't mind the pressure of Orcish Bowmaster specifically. But I can gift them a fish whenever I want. Murktide Regent. Okay, that's fine. That's even worse than Tamiyo versus Into the Floodmaw. I can take some hits. It's also a creature that doesn't stop me from casting Ponder if I draw it. I can now put Show and Tell on the stack. I actually think I have to save this Flood Maw because Tamiyo's going to go ultimate next turn. We haven't seen a bad card yet out of my opponent's deck. They're just playing on basic lands, just playing all the best cards in Legacy off of basic lands, which is something you were always allowed to do. People at home. Baleful Strix is fine. I think right now is my window. No, I want to end step, bounce Tamiyo. All right, gift a fish, bounce Tamiyo. You get a fish. Okay, Tamiyo's in hand, fish is in play. Let's draw Titan Pact. Oh my god! All right, so you're saying there's a chance. I can fire one bullet here, and it has to work. Show and Tell. If he's got 2 counter spells, I lose. Daze, fuck my life. All right, force that. I was really hoping to see a Force of Will first. All right, we lose. Cool. All right. Defense Grid is good. Veil of Summer is fine. Carpet of Flowers is good. I mostly lost that game to Mana Screw. If I could have just paid for Daze, I think we win that fight on the last turn. Okay, Consigned to Memory, not that useful. Into the Flood Maw. My opponent's deck has creatures in it. I don't need that. I wish I could board down to 60, but that's illegal. Carpet of Flowers is better than Elvish Spirit Guide at doing the same thing. If I'm bringing in Defense Grids and Veils, Pact of Negation gets worse. Though I still want some number to be able to hive mind my opponent. Cutting a land seems like a mistake after what we just went through. It might be a stock up or a ponder, or I just don't bring in every veil. Okay, I think I'm going to do it like this. All right, the opponent saw enough to know what we're doing. I had to pitch sudden sub to that final Force of Will. I'll keep this hand. It sees a lot of cards, which was part of my problem last game. Ponder. Force of Will, Lotus Petal, stock up. Sure, I'll take more of this. Swamp does not cast Daze. Stock up. Yeah, that was worth a force pitching Consigned to Memory. Okay. Consigned to Memory is pretty good against my deck, because that can counter a pack trigger. Wasteland, oh no, I'll just play the same turn I played last turn all over again. Bummer. Stock up. That one resolved. Carpet of Flowers could be good someday. I think I need the island and the pact, though. Mana is not currently my struggle. I could ponder now before Bowmaster is a thing. Nah, I'll chill. Underground Sea. Ponder. Alright, Bowmaster's not a thing this turn. Shuffled the Ponder. Love to see it. Hive Mind, we're getting there. I could cast this right now. Okay. I can't play around Daze. Alright, whatever. Let's go for it. I do lose this game to Consign to Memory. Hive Mind. If they Daze, though, then they can't Consign. Pact. Yes, I agree to pay the Pact later. Wink, 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 wink. Okay, you get a Pact, I get a Pact, and I lose to Consign to Memory. Go ahead. Oh yeah, there we go. We got at least one out of that. Okay, Veil versus Grid is a real question, real conversation to be having. Veil helps versus Bowmaster. Grid makes it harder for them to cast. Bowmaster has a surprise. I can at least build around it. Veil requires me to have extra mana and of the splash color. I think Grid is better. We haven't seen a discard spell yet, though. Why would you play black in this format without Thoughtseize? Alright, I think these numbers are just going to have to hold. I could board in Beseiju as just another land. Oh, alright. That might appeal to me. Not only another land, but a land that casts Carpet of Flowers and Veil. Stock up's really good, obviously. I could shave a Force because Grid's coming in, but that's a reason to shave Pact more than Force. Alright, I'm going to shave Pact for a land. Okay, let's go. Yikes. This hand is almost perfect, but doesn't have a blue source, and I know we're playing against Wasteland. Mulligan. Sad to see it go. Alright, this hand's solid. Keep, and I'm going to bottom one of the Ponders. I really hate playing with Forbidden Orchard as my primary mana source. And if opponent dazes this Carpet of Flowers, I'm in the garbage. But I'm going for it. Yo, we're in there. Okay. That was a tense moment. Very important moment. I'd like to make blue and cast Ponder. And now I don't have to give my opponent a creature every single time I make mana. I'd Hive Mind Sudden Sub. I have the orchard, so my opponent will have creatures. Okay. Hive Mind, Petal, Beseju, don't shuffle. I basically just need a pact here, and we're off. The pact line doesn't lose to Consign to Memory, and Consign to Memory still keeps my opponent alive, but at least I don't lose to my own pact because I don't have one. Yes, make blue, cast Stock Up, Force of Negation, pitching Strix. Okay. I think I do want this Lotus Petal in play. If my opponent flashes in a Bowmaster, I want to be able to brainstorm without giving them a creature. I think. No. We're making it up as we go. It's all fake. All right, upkeep fetch. Getting basic swamp. Taking a bunch of damage from my own thing here. Oh, we're getting Kaito'd. That's clever. That beats sudden sub because of hexproof. But I can give them a creature whenever I want. That doesn't matter. All right, never mind. Kaito is going to surveil 2. Look for some juice. Let's see, 2 in the graveyard. Dump them. Dump them. 2 in the graveyard. Oh, we both went on ninjas. Interesting. All right. Secrets revealed. All right, I'm going to make blue. I could cast Hive Mind right here, but it doesn't do anything. I'm going to brainstorm and look for a pact. Yikes, that's not very good. No shuffle, no action. I'm going to put back Beseju and Lotus Petal, and then bin the Lotus Petal. Okay, that stinks a little bit. We're under real pressure, and now we're brainstorm locked for a turn. If my opponent plays something like Murktide Regent, I can put Show and Tell on the stack, then trade Show and Tell for Sudden Sub. I don't know if that helps, but it would at least remove Murktide Regent. And Kaito is just specifically the perfect card here. I think I might just play Hive Mind here to flush out a counterspell. There's no sense in being honest about what's in my hand. If Hive Mind resolves, I think that's actually bad for me. Yes, make blue, play Beseju, Hive Mind on the stack, please force this. Okay, we did it. Hymn to Turok resolves. I get one more draw this game. End step brainstorm. Right, there's a Murktide. I can gain control of that, trade it for Show and Tell, just to not die, but I'd much rather draw a pact right now. Okay, this surveilled 2 away again. Come on, deck. Big draws. Big draws. This is your moment. Hive Mind. That's not what I wanted. Yes, make blue. I think what I want to do here is cast Show and Tell and see if it resolves. Show and Tell. I am going to roll the dice here, because if he forces this, then I can trade it for Murktide, and then it's not going to resolve anyway. This is riskier than just trading Show and Tell for the Murktide, but I need to take chances here because I'm behind. I saw the life total change. There is a Force of Will over there. Okay, Force Pitching Daze, Sudden Sub, target Show and Tell and Murktide. 1, 2, I go to 4. Kaito can put me to 1. Like, Kaito can freeze the Murktide, then put me to 1. Yeah, I'm pretty dead here, but at least that was a cool play on the way out. Weirdly enough, if the last card in my hand was Veil of Summer here, we might actually be able to win this game. Like, stuff the stun, attack Kaito on the backswing, and then we're stable with an 8/8. Alright, that's stunned. I go to 1. I only have 5 mana because I can't tap Ancient Tomb anymore. We're switching Kaito for different Kaito. That gives them another activation this turn. Could stun Murktide again or just draw more cards. Alright, drawing more cards. I don't think there's a draw that saves me. Oh, well. Artifact, creature, enchantment, or planeswalker. I was wrong. There is one. I'll make blue. And it doesn't really save me, it just buys me a turn. But we'll play it. I'm a combo deck. Every turn counts. Opponent's got 2 Kaitos and 3 Unknowns in hand. We lose on the spot to an Orcish Bowmaster ever. Baleful Strix. That beats my Murktide. It also kills me next turn because my Murktide's still sleeping. Ponder. 3 basic swamps in play. Very important, because if there was a 4th or a 3rd island in play, I would have live draws here. But because there are swamps, I don't. Alright. Tapping Ancient Tomb. Boom. Those are a lot of good games throughout the set. I mean, I think that this build needs some tuning. I probably should have vetted a little bit harder. My fault for being busy and picking these at the last minute, but I would not play 62 cards in this build, but I'm not going to get hung up on that. All of these decks were sweet, and Andreas and I are about to do a little debrief conversation, so stick around for that. The BoshNRoll channel is proudly partnered with the Resleevables. In this YouTube series, hosts Patrick Sullivan and Patrick Chapin go set by set through Magic's past, leveraging their decades of experience as Pro Tour players and game designers to analyze the good, the bad, and the ugly of Magic's history. Each episode is a deep dive into the facts, mechanics, cycles, trivia, decks of the time, and historical context of the set. The hosts dig into notable cards of the era and their lasting impact today. Each set gets an award show where the hosts pick their favorite cards for categories such as Best, Worst, and Weirdest. And finally, give a letter grade for the set's overall success. Whether you want a history lesson or a nostalgia hit, The Resleevables has it at youtube.com/theresleevables.
All right, guys, we're back here with the post game. I'm Andreas, and I'm joined here by BoshNRoll, and we just had a fun set of games, I must say, because this is usually not what I spend the most of my time on. I'm usually playing, the Reanimator decks and the Tempo decks of the world, but now this was pure passion. Was that the same from your point of view?
Yeah, and my content's a little different than yours. I do this more often. I've played every single one of those decks I just played before in some form or another, maybe 5 years ago, maybe more recently, but none of that was new to me. I've played all of the decks that you played I've done this. I release a video every day, and they usually come from my community, which is the same place that we sourced these decks. So
yeah,
for me, it's more like, okay, once in a while I'll play Dimir Tempo just to let the sickos have something to grab onto. But generally, I like showcasing the full depth of what you could do with legacy cards.
Yeah, certainly, and we certainly did that today. So we started off with, I was on the mono black deck, the mono black aggro deck, which I think is has a lot of potential. It has a lot of good tools, good things to do all up the curve. We had some interesting games. You lined it up against the Jeskai energy deck. I didn't know it was Jeskai until that bombardment you hit with the Brainstorm game 2, and that really crushed me. You hit that card and then a plow underneath for the full blowout, and that just blew me out of the water. So, yeah, how did you like that matchup?
That was sweet. That was just slugging it out. We just had some creatures, a couple of spells. Some of the creatures had extra words on them. That was basically like playing draft with really high power decks. It was sweet, like lining. And the thing you just described where you thought-seized me, and my brainstorm was 3 Ajani's Ponder Plow Bombardment, and I was narrating during the game. I basically got to pick what you take here because I didn't think you would take one of the 3 Ajani's, which you ended up doing. Like, you just weren't worried about Ponder and thought you could work through the first 2 Ajani's. But basically it was like, I get to set the entire terms of this game. I get to pick what he takes with Thoughtseize. I get to hide what I want, draw it in the order I want. And the game just unfolded entirely how I scripted it from my turn 1 brainstorm. And that was really satisfying.
Completely. I've been doing a little bit of modern on the side, and just that whole developing your bombardment before a Johnny is just in any fair matchup is just like bread and butter, really, really nice. And it worked like a charm. I didn't have any chance. I even had to get very lucky game 1 with, let's see, I drew Sheldred's Edict in a very clutch situation. Then I drew a couple of Baragoyfs, in very short order. Like, it was just so compact, like banger, banger, banger.
Yeah. Game 1, we just traded back and forth removal spells and creatures, and then we got to the spot where I had a 3-power flyer and you had a 1-power not flyer in a damage race where we're both hellbent, and then you went removal spell Baragoyf hits Baragoyf in the next 3 turns, and I was like, all right, that's how top deck wars go.
That's how it goes. I was scared when I missed the first Baragoyf trigger, but then I came back stronger with having access to 3 copies in the end there. And then game 3, I had an aggressive Stalker draw that with 5 basic swamps, which is really not ideal. I think the deck plays 7, and then with 8 fetches. I think if there's a fetch in the mix, I get you there on the race. Would you agree that was like the difference there?
Maybe. I'm not sure. I wasn't in the weeds on on what you were sequencing as much as just trying
You
to.
basically stabilized 5, and I was forced into making a bad attack where I knew the double block was coming and the stalkers were trading. So there's a little bit of a couple of turns where I don't grow those guys. It did grow from you dazing the Baragoyf, which was a nice little, not a surprise because I play a lot with Motion Collapse, but a nice little benefit that not everybody might not know about, right?
Right.
Yeah, it just felt like when you get your engine up and running, that's where the mono black deck is losing. That's not really a big surprise.
Yeah, of course. Like any fair deck is not going to keep up with the Bombardment of Johnny stuff if they don't break it up immediately. And Mono Black does not answer Goblin Bombardment at all. Like that's just going to be in play. All your removal is going to be bad, even if I don't get my engine going. I have block sack lines against Baragoyf. I have, ping you every time something dies. Your life total is getting lower. That's just obviously, like you said, anyone who plays Modern knows that's a really tough 2 cards they haven't played together, a Johnny and Bombardment.
Certainly. So up next, I was lining up the Bant Beachblade deck, submitted by a very passionate user who loves that deck. I've also done a little bit of work on it. And you played Dimir Ninjas, which was funny because I knew I had that one coming for round 3. But we had some banger of games here where I didn't know you would play the Hacker. I only thought about like 2-mana and 3-mana Ninjutsu cards. How did you like that one, the 2-1?
It was cool. It gave me a few spots where there was a turn where I specifically lined up like I only am showing blue, or there was some specific situation where I was holding up something else while I could ninja for 1. Like there was a ponder, I think, where I had access to Kaito or Moonblade Hacker, and I took the Hacker. I put Kaito in my hand, force something losing Kaito on your turn to have Hacker instead. And
I noticed that the Hacker went, the Kaito went to exile, and I was like, what does this mean? Like, what does this tell me about your hand? And it certainly disguised what you ended up having.
Right, yeah, and the list that was submitted from my community, that one was different. Like I had not seen Hackers used. I've played with Retrofitter Foundry. I've played with Satoru. I've played with a bunch of ways. Like the list I had didn't have any way to capitalize on an Ornithopter, like no way to flip it into a 4/4 or draw a card off it in the late game, nothing like that. But it did have 1-drop ninjutsu effects. So I wanted to feature that one because it was different than what I've done before.
Yeah, that certainly gave you like a burst into the early turns, and then of course that Ornithopter doesn't provide a whole lot of value later on, which I guess inevitably was also what it came down to a little bit. I had a bit higher card quality into the later stages of the game. I kept spamming Nadus. You had a Brutal Daze that really surprised me because you went like Sulphurous Springs is not the name of the card. Something Springs, the other side of Sink into Stupor, and Otawara, and then all of a sudden I get dazed on the Shuko. Ooh, that was a brutal one. With the Stoneforge resolving, I was like, okay, let's put this guy, let's put this clown to sleep. But no, I got dazed.
Yep, yeah. That is something that I've always had to worry about when I play ninjas, because that's a deck I have a lot of experience with, where it's a deck with 3 or 4 basic swamps and 3 or 4 dazes. And then if you want a tech land like Otawara, like Sink into Stupor, daze just gets worse and worse every minute. And, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I probably would not play that many dazes, or I would build my mana base differently if I was building ninjas from the ground up.
Yeah, but it certainly got me good here, because if I slow roulette Yuko, I can't lose. But now playing it out, that gets very iffy. So I ended up taking that one in close fashion. We talked a little bit off camera about the last couple of turns getting complicated. I forgot to tick up my Planeswalker. I miscounted my mana, and things got a little bit iffy. And you also said you messed up a little bit on a combat. But this is just what is bound to happen when you don't have a ton of experience with a deck. But it also happens for the opponent, right? That board states become complicated, mistakes can happen. Like, do you think this is something you can transfer into, let's say you go to a local tournament and you get some edge from this complicated game situations? Do you think that's a real thing?
Yeah, if you are better at that than your opponent is, then absolutely. That's, in Vintage, which, different format, but Vintage players are historically terrible at combat. They don't know how to line up blocks or get good trades or do the race math. Like, they're just so bad at it. And it's because that's not a skill that's generally used in Vintage. And just yesterday I was recording Unpowered Red Prison for the channel, and
Yeah.
every single opponent tried to block Broadside Bombardier with one creature. Every single one lined up like they don't know what. They've never read Menace. They've never read Broadside Bombardier. Like, if you are pushing the game into a place where your opponent is not ready to play it, then if you can leverage that, and this is a really important thing about Brewer's Advantage or bringing a tier 2, tier 3 off meta deck, is you have to be perfect. If, like, Brewer's Advantage is worth something, like you running that Shuko into Daze, that was Brewer's Advantage. If I was on some stock list, you would know to play around Daze. But the Ninja list I was sent was 61 cards, and with, in my opinion, not enough lands. I mean, shout out to my community. Like, thank you all for sharing the decks. This is not a rag. This is good feedback. The Ninja list I was sent was 61 cards with not enough lands. The Show and Tell deck I was sent was 62 cards with not enough lands. And if you're bringing these off-meta decks, you need your list to be perfect. You need your sideboard map to be perfect. You have to execute perfectly while your opponent is scrambling to catch up. If you show up just on vibes without a sideboard plan with a 62 card deck, you lose your Brewer's Advantage because you're dealing with other stuff. You can't be making up on the fly if your advantage is to hope your opponent has to make it up on the fly, because then it washes out.
Yeah, that's a good point. You need your fundamentals in check, and then we can talk about the Brewer's Advantage, but not before we kind of check all of those boxes.
Right.
I think that's a very, very good point. Speaking of the 62 card deck, last match was the showdown between. So this is funny. One of my first top 8s in paper was with Hivemind back in the day, but I just couldn't put it together. What's the card called? This where you swap the
Sudden substitution.
That card, I was like, I think this is a Forbidden Orchard deck. I brought in a Harbinger because my sideboard was not very good against your deck, and just in hope that would do something, but I have no idea if it even would. So I was really in scrambles here because, does Consign work against these pack triggers that I'm going to die from? I think so. So I guess I'll board those in. I was in trouble there. That was a cool deck. You were obviously stumbling a lot in game 1. And I was lucky to draw a million forces in the third game. I only played 6, and I think I drew 3 of them. While, even enabling your orchard enabled my Kaito. Like, I just had such good working conditions. I feel like you would actually be favored if we played more games with the version I had versus yours.
Yeah, I think if my list cleaned up a little bit and just hit my land drops, like that list had 5 or 6 basic islands in it. So I don't care about Wasteland. I don't know if you have back to basics in that build. For the first 2 games, I thought you were the Be Excellent, no reserve list, Demir mid-range list that he's been
you didn't see any ninjas.
With. Yeah. Right. You milled a ninja off of a Kaito Surveil in game 3, and I was like, oh, shit. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so Like, I was thinking about all those things, and yeah, I think structurally that deck is very good against a mid-range slower ninja deck, but obviously any deck needs mana to play the game.
Yeah, my list had 0 Thoughtseizes in it, so it was very tuned against fair. So I was basically leaning on 6 forces and a couple of dazes, with a lot of the value stuff not really mattering against a show and tell strategy. So I didn't like that matchup, and I feel quite lucky to emerge victorious from that one. I have one more thing, Brian, before we get us out of here. I think we should make this a monthly thing. If your schedule allows for it, I'm already working on the branding, the B&B, the Bosch and Baron FNM. Like I'll get there. This could be very cool. What do you think of this?
All right, I'm going to improve the branding already. It's the Bosch and Baron Battle for the Basement.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
We're down those in the dregs. We're down in the weird off-meta stuff, fighting for the king of the basement. There's a lot of bees. People love alliteration.
Yes.
So
okay, I like that already. So now we just need your busy schedule to line up, and we're good to go, basically.
Yeah, I should be able to do it most of the time, which should be exciting for our various communities. By the way, I'm on Patreon, and you're on Metafy. Is that where you host your stuff?
Yeah. Exactly. That's where I have built my barony. So I'm growing stronger by the day. Do your members have any like cool names to it, like the barons on my side?
My universe is called the Roll Nation, And so it's kind of like a barony. A barony is like a nation, right? And my basic members are citizens, and then there's mayors and nobles as you go up.
Ooh,
I also have travelers, but they're not in my Discord. They just pay me like $1 or $2 a month and get ad block absolution, but they don't get any benefits. So travelers, citizens, mayors, and nobles are the members of the Roll Nation, of which I am the king, which I think outranks Baron.
It does, unfortunately, but it's also cool to have one place where I can be, in charge. So that's how I view that. But okay, so we'll work on that a little bit, and hopefully we can be back with some more cool decks in the future. I highly enjoyed this. This is a cool change from what I normally do, and as long as people are willing to send us decks, why not put it to good use and jam against each other?
Right.
Brian, I guess you should, get us out of here.
One more thing I want to point out before we sign off is our decks were full of good cards, which is really important to show that the depth of Legacy. And sometimes you see a deck, or like I get sent a lot of decks, and sometimes it's just doesn't make any sense. But Tamiyo, Orcish Bowmaster, Force of Will, Daze, Wasteland, these cards, Thoughtseize, these cards were everywhere in the 6 decks we just played. And you can put good cards in unproven or off-meta decks and still have a good time. Something that I like to say about Eternal formats is we're all playing Legacy. When someone comes up to me and they're like, I just lost with the Mirror Tempo versus Hivemind Omni Show, it's like, we're all playing Legacy, man. That's a deck that can win on turn 1. Did you have a Force? Like, we're all playing the same format here. These cards are all good. So
that's a good point. I usually use it for Vintage, where that guy's Lotus also taps for 3 mana, so watch out for that deck.
That's right.
It's the same. It's the same. The gap is not as big as some people might think. So I think that's a good point to round out the show here. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Thanks so much for your time, Brian.
Yeah, for sure. I will see you next time.
Yes, sir.